Yes, hello folks, welcome to wee episode of Beyond the Pitch here. I'm Phil, as always, of course, joined with my regular co-host Martin. We're going to have a wee chat here about Manchester United and the Champions League draw, which just was made yesterday, and then we'll take a wee look ahead at the Leicester game and a couple of other things making United news. First of all, Martin, how's things, mate?
Yeah, very well, Phil. You?
All good, mate. Yes, it's Friday, so I can't complain. Last weekend, before we have the most annoying international break, in my opinion, of the whole season. You get the season back 3 weeks, and then you've got an international break. So annoying. Let's start out with Champions League draw, mate, because bit of a strange draw in that it's a draw you would have wanted. CSK, Moscow, Basel, two teams you'd want, two teams United, but they're two teams United have, when they played CSK Moscow a couple of seasons ago, they drew 1-8 away, beat them 1-0 at home, but dodgy away. That's the sort of game you want to get the very last tail end of that group. Basel.
Yeah, you know it is, but you look at the fixture weeks now, and it's all done and dusted before the depths of winter. So, we get.
Did the fixtures get released that quick?
Yeah, so we get out of we get out of Moscow before September, October. So we play home first, and we play home last in the group. So, albeit Basel and Benfica, obviously 11-12, wasn't it, when them seemed like a relatively straightforward group in 11-12, and those two pipped us to it. But you can't see the same mistake under Jose at all.
Obviously Benfica is someone he knows well. Basel, if you remember that last Fergie season in Champions League where United got knocked out, we were knocked out of Europa League by Bilbao. If I remember correctly, Atletico Bilbao. Again, I agree. I can't see United making the same mistakes. I think United will go through in that group, and if they don't, they've got no to blame but themselves. They should go through.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just pulling up the actual fixture dates here. Yeah, I mean, it's all done and dusted before December, and we play CSKA Moscow at home in December. So it's a group that, look, we've been relatively fortunate in European competitions over the last few years, getting pretty tidy groups, and we've had ourselves to blame, obviously, last time when we got these two. It's just a different animal now. The squad's more complete, it's more well-rounded, it's more balanced. You look at now all of a sudden look what's coming off the bench. And it's game changers coming off the bench. You know what I mean? It's players coming off the bench that will get in 90% of the teams in the Premier League, 95% of the teams in the Premier League. So it's a completely different animal now. It's a group we should win, and we should win comfortably, and hopefully get it wrapped up relatively early and be able to rest a few players come November, December.
Yeah, back in November, December, whenever Rojo should be back. Possibly Ibrahimovic starting to come back around about that time, which would be great to see Ibra back in the United squad around about then. Would United sending Ibrahimovic to another year contract? I can't say I'm massively surprised at that. You happy enough with that?
I don't think what's not to be happy about. I mean, it's for what he's given. People look about everything he's done on the pitch, but he just goes so much deeper than that. You hear the type of things Rashford talks about, and what he does on the training pitch and the lessons he's teaching the younger boys around there. I think it's a brilliant, ultimate pro to have around the place. And then, it's like another signing. You get into the new year and you add Zlatan Ibrahimovic with the amount of games we should hopefully be playing. Lukaku cannot lead the line for 60 games. There's going to be games when it's tight. And it's going to take a different kind of striker, something that's not left with space in behind for him to go and attack the space. Someone who needs to work in small pockets of space that Zlatan does so well. Another option too. Can you imagine late in the game now? And if we do go a little bit more direct there, you've got the likes of Lukaku, Zlatan, Pogba, Matic, Vai. I mean, these boys are big boys to lump the ball into if and when needed.
Yeah, see, I think one of the things that Ibrahimovic, one of the reasons why it's a really, really good piece of business to keep him, Martial and Rice were the two young players. They still have a lot of development to do. These are two young players. If there's one thing they need to learn, maybe not Martial, but certainly Rice, for its composure and finishing. And so someone like Ibrahimovic took a lot of pressure off both of them last season. So, and you're right, you know, Lukaku can't lead the line all season. So I think second half of the season, have someone like Ibrahimovic, where you're not relying on him every week, who can take the pressure off Martial, Rashford. Other players are going to need to chip in this season. Look, last season we didn't have enough variety in front of goal. It's going to be really important, you know, to get that. They've had that the first couple of games. You've got that variety. And you can't have enough winners in the dressing room. I was talking to Danny about this yesterday. Danny Higginbotham on our original BTP show. You can't have enough winners in the dressing room more than Ibrahimovic is a winner.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, we talk about Lukaku. We talk about taking the pressure off Martial and Rashford and players like that. But, you know, you talk about Lukaku like he's like a seasoned veteran. You know what I mean? Just because he scored a lot of goals, he's still a pretty young boy, isn't he? So, a young man, I should say. You know, if he goes a few games without scoring, you know, you got Zlatan by his side there and picks up the pieces. It's just another great piece of business. And he said it himself, didn't he? He's got unfinished business. Zlatan wants that Premier League medal. He wants to win at United. Has now come out and said he really wishes he joined United at an earlier age, and says they are, even within the big clubs, they're another level. So it's just another world superstar realising what a gigantic club and what a massive job you have to do at Manchester United.
Yes, agree. Some other news. Luke Shaw, of course, coming back for the reserves on Monday. Him and Ashley Young both played 60 minutes. Both of them took heavy challenges in that game. Both good to see them come through. A lot of people are talking about Luke Shaw getting the new contract as if that is some high indication that his future lies at Manchester United. This is his last year of his deal. Just because United are giving him a new contract does not mean that his future is going to be at Manchester United.
Got to protect your assets.
I want him. Yeah, of course, you can't let Luke Shaw go for free. I want him to work at United. I want him to be someone that develops, nails down that left back. Like when we were up at United Hotel over the summer, we had a couple of conversations with some ex-United players, and they shared concerns about Luke Shaw, about whether Luke Shaw has the ability mentally to play for Manchester United, and that's the only question mark for me. And he can't have a season this season where he's injured all the time. He's got
to get a run of games. If he's to come back, he's got to get a run of games injury-free and start to believe that he can mentally play for this club. You know, all the ability in the world doesn't mean anything. If he's not got it between the ears and he doesn't have the composure and he doesn't have the know-how to handle a club of this size, then it's just not good. It's not going to work. And that's the words we were getting from the ex-pros, some very, very high-profile ex-professionals at United. And when they're concerned, it's what we've been saying for best part of 9 months now, 8 months. It's a major, major concern, and it's such a shame because we're crying out for a Luke Shaw type right now with that ability and what he could provide. He could play in a 3-5-2. He could play in a 4-3-3. You know, he could offer that width and that out-and-out left-sided player that Jose has categorically stated that he was looking for. So, I mean, the door's wide open for him. It's all laid out for him. All he's got to do is sort himself out.
Luke Shaw needs to change. He needs to develop into a wing-back more. And that's the way football is today. Luke Shaw's an old-fashioned left-back, but don't tell me he can't do it. If Ashley Young can do it at, 30 years of age, turns into a wing-back. If Antonio Valencia can turn into a wing-back at 30, Luke Shaw can turn into a left-sided wing-back. He will not escape another call this summer. He's escaping now because United have other positions within that squad that need to be addressed. But next summer, Martin, what are United going to do to address next summer? They'll not need to address the striking position. They'll not need to address the midfield position. The centre backs are set. So you're looking at maybe left back and right back.
Yeah, full backs, maybe another holding midfielder.
Yeah, but small changes.
It's tweaks. It's not major changes next year. It's small tweaks to the squad and additions to the squad. It's not players who are going to come in, nail down a spot and be absolute world beaters. If we get them, great. But I mean, with the signing of Matic has sorted that out. The signing of Lukaku has sorted that spot out. Rashford, you know, the way he started the year. I mean, look, there's a great future in that squad, and it's going to be minor tweaks next year. But like you say, I think the main areas are going to be the fullback positions. Trying to progress them to be wing backs, and that's just because Valencia's not getting any younger now.
Hope Martial gets a start this weekend. He's earned that start, Martin. Mourinho, for me, nailed him on the head. Look, magnificent talent. We know that. But with Martial, it's always about consistency. It's always about, can you show that talent every week? You sort of did a Carvajal up in San Francisco, Martin. He's always done the first 2 games this season. Everybody knows Anthony Martial's a better player than Jesse Lingard. And I want to see him start every week over Jesse Lingard too, because obviously what he brings is the potential to be much more dangerous than Jesse Lingard. This is a kid that has the maturity, because he carried it out in his first season, Martin, under Van Gaal. So I want to see him this year bring that consistency to his game, because he must know, Martin, if Griezmann had a game, Martial, I think, is out of Manchester United. If Perisic had a game, Martial's in big, big trouble. He is in the same boat as Luke Shaw in that he escaped by the skin of his teeth, and he has to see this as an opportunity.
He does. I think I said, I'd love to see a forward line of Rashford, Lukaku, and Martial. You know, at some point, it's so dynamic. But I think Jose, what he's doing and what he's doing very, very well and very smart, he's saying, you know, it's going to take more than a couple of 15-minute cameos of playing very, very well to earn yourself a start. He's going to want to see that on a consistent basis. Whilst it wouldn't surprise me to see him start this weekend, it certainly wouldn't see out the realm of possibility to roll out the same team before the international break. Say to Martial, very good. Maybe he gets half an hour. You know what I mean? It's almost like a guy coming back from injury, where he's slowly bringing him back in, and he's making him prove himself a little more than just 15, 20 minutes. But because he has looked phenomenal in those minutes he's played, and very, very composed in front of goal.
Yes, I agree. I think we don't see what happens Monday to Friday in training, so I don't know how he's training, and I hope that Martial is putting in exactly the same performances in training that he's putting in on a match. I want Martial to work out so bad, Martin.
Oh, me too.
I've taken penalties over questioning the boys' attitude at times, but it's the only question mark you can have over him. Talent is not a question. So hopefully we see the Martial this season that we saw in the first season. If Anthony Martial, Martin, scores 15 goals, Premier League goals this season, because I think United are going to get double figures out of Pogba as well. That goal difference between Pogba and Martial alone, on top of what Lukaku would get,
on top of what Rashford
that's another 10, 15 points.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've said it before, we know we're not going to concede many goals. Jose Mourinho's sides just don't. I mean, they're disciplined. Yeah. He knows when to tuck in. He knows when to be very, very cautious. He knows when to be ultra cautious. If you had goals from other areas of the pitch now, you know, like you say, Lukaku will take care of his Latan's goals, probably plus some. Rashford, 12 to 15. Martial, 12 to 15. Pogba coming in, which you're adding an awful lot of goals to a team that wasn't that far away last year. And then goals in the games that we drew at Old Trafford alone could have seen us challenging. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of goals there, and it started well. And if they keep rolling there, we know it is with goal scorers. Goal scorers are just it's all about confidence.
We've got, a week left before the window closes. What do you think happens between now and the end of the window? Do you think anybody leaves, anybody else comes in?
I think unless somebody comes in, I don't think anybody leaves. I think it's pretty much as you were right now. I'm not hearing anything. That left-sided player that we've been courting doesn't seem to be popping up anywhere. So unless it was somebody completely out of left field, I don't see anybody else coming in now.
Wouldn't surprise me to see
anybody of note. Anybody of note, I should. Chris Smalling's a good shout, actually. It would have to be the right offer, because there's plenty of Premier League teams there that are crying out for a centre back, and it seems like he's pretty much down the pecking order now.
Whether Smalling stays or not, I think when you look, he's at the bottom of the pile of the back four, and that's exactly where I put him, because I would put Phil Jones in a centre back position before Smalling.
And Lindelof's struggles to start the season have kind of helped him a little bit. But I mean, you slide Blind in there, and you've got Rojo coming back at Christmas time. You know, he just come down the pecking order now a little bit.
Yeah. So Lindelof could be what? Who's that? Burton Albion they got in the Carabao, whatever the Carabao. I have to admit, I had no idea what the Carabao was. Right?
I was the same.
So I thought, what is it? Is it some foreign beer? Something
in China, isn't it? In the Far East. No idea. I still remember it being the Milk Cup. I think I still call it the Milk Cup at times, mate.
So was Burton Albion, wasn't it? They're a championship team now. I thought they were a Vauxhall Conference. Honestly, and I no disrespect to Burton Albion at all. Fantastic.
Yeah, they've been on a phenomenal run, man. They've been on a brilliant run.
But up in the championship, United would probably Lindelof. That would probably be his first game. But they do well not to underestimate someone like Burton Albion. And
I'm glad we got him at home.
So could be Lindelof's first game. I think when you look at McIntyre, people forget that he didn't play for the first couple of months of the season, really. After the Man City game, where he was abysmal, and so he didn't play for the first couple of months, and was eased in. And so I think with a young centre back, when I look at Lindelof now, first of all, I said I didn't want him to come in January because it's really, really hard to integrate a centre half. But if you're not going to play him for 6 months, maybe January would be the best time to bring him in, Martin.
Yeah, it's kind of looking that way, isn't it? Yeah, he's had his struggles. I mean, it's look, toughest league in the world to come and jump in, and it's the pace and the literally frenetic pace it's played at, and the big bodies and the style of play, and the ball does turn over, change possession a lot more in the Premier League than other leagues. So it's a tough one. It's a tough league to come into. He's had his struggles, a little bit of teething problems. I have no doubt that he's going to overcome them relatively quickly here, and he's going to be eased in. He's going to have to be eased into these Carabao Cup games.
One of the things that we saw this season, is the transfer window changed forever. It'll never be the same again. How cheap does Paul Pogba look at 19 million?
How cheap does Lukaku look?
Yeah.
That's seriously how ridiculous it is. We got Lukaku a few months ago and he's already looking a bargain. You know, yeah. the young boy Dembele there. He's 20 years old. He scored about 6 goals, hasn't he? 13 goals and 100 odd million, 130 odd million, whatever it could rise to. I don't know how much further can it go. I don't know.
I mean, you look at Pogba talking about cheap. I mean, he looks cheap as your haircut, and and the way we're born a hat. But no, seriously, brilliant. And Martin, I think this is. We've already seen it the first couple of games this season. Pogba's looked sensational first couple of games this season, and I think he will be for United this season.
Hey, you said it to me, didn't you? Before how much more ridiculous does it make that £25 million bid from Daniel Levy look for Martial? What's he smoking?
Clearly wasn't a serious. It was an insult. Rashford, Jones, Lingard, Smalling all called up to England. So hopefully Rashford doesn't get injured. Hopefully he plays. Which brings you to the next question about Rooney's retirement, Martin. Not going to spend all day talking about this, but we'll mention it briefly. I was having a discussion yesterday with Danny Hickenbotham about whether Rooney is a great. His answer was he's an England great. If you had to pick a defining moment for Wayne Rooney in an England shirt, it's very difficult to do. You have to go back to Euros 2004, which was his first tournament as an England player. Yeah. Which should have been a springboard for Wayne Rooney, not the defining tournament.
Agreed. Look, scored a lot of goals, made a lot of appearances. But I'll tell you something about the goal record that we spoke about off air. That goal record won't stand very long. It won't stand nearly as long as Sir Bobby Charlton's did. They just play so many games now and so many meaningless games against, they're playing against pub teams half the time. And I'm not knocking Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney gives 110%. Absolutely every ounce of energy he's got, he's given to that England national team. And he has beat the record. An England great. He probably does go down as a great, but he's by no means statue worthy and so on and so forth. Hall of Fame, as they like to call it in America, type stuff. It's very difficult. To really judge his England career. I mean, he's not carried the England team to where then, but should he have had to carry the England team? Surely some of the other stuff has got to go on the other players. I mean, I don't hear the same criticisms of Lionel Messi. Now, what have Argentina done? Messi
won Ballon d'Ors.
No, I'm not going to argue that against that, but. Argentina haven't won anything. Messi doesn't perform nearly as well as he does for Argentina.
I also don't think it's fair to compare Rooney to Messi. I don't think.
I don't think anybody. I don't think that
class.
Well, I don't think we can really compare anybody bar Ronaldo. But I'm just making a point that until Ronaldo won the Euros with Portugal, was he a Portugal great?
Well, I mean, Argentina were in a World Cup final that they should have won against Germany.
Should have won it, yeah.
Yes, that Gonzalo Higuain essentially cost them.
Yeah, so I just don't wear the same criticism, and I think it's an unfair criticism. I mean, you're expecting one player to carry a nation. Far too much was thrown on his shoulders far too early. Didn't handle it very well, and has paid the cost for how he acts off the field. His goals won't go away. The performances have never been, like you say, you can't pick out a defining moment. 2004 was the tournament he broke on, and that was his best tournament for the national team. But he's been let down. He's been almost guilty of trying too hard at times. Trying to play left back, right back, centre midfield, trying to do too much, trying to be that street footballer. And I think it's cost him. But I think he's in England great. He's somebody you'll always say was a great player. But I don't think you'll ever say, when you talk about England's premium all-time players, I don't think he comes in the reckoning. I think you said it to me, didn't you? It's like Van Nistelrooy and, for the Dutch national team. Is Van Nistelrooy an all-time? You talk about Dutch greats, you talk about Cruyff, you talk about Van Basten. Ruud Van Nistelrooy scored a lot of goals, and you'll say what a great player he was, but he's not going to be in that real top tier, upper echelon of national team all-time greats.
When one of the things that just frustrates me about Wayne Rooney is that when I saw Wayne Rooney at 18, I honestly thought I was watching a player that was going to dominate football for the next 15 years. But and you look at Rooney's record on paper, and you have to say that he's had an incredible career. But you look at how his career transitions. You look at Rooney as a young player. Oh my God, he was sensational. Yeah. He was so quick, so strong, walked past players, and obviously, he's 18, so you change as you get older. But he was so explosive, Martin. He was so good when he was younger.
And I think that's always going to be the thing in the back of your mind. Is it's just a little bit of disappointment.
Yeah, it should have been.
You do feel like it should have been so much more.
Rooney, to me, falls in the Gaza category. Magnificent natural talent, should have been more.
Yeah.
And you'll always feel like when you watch Gaza that it should have been more. That magnificent player. But Gaza promised so much when he was a kid. When you watched him at Spurs, you watched him at Newcastle, you're like, this kid has the ability to be whatever he wants, and couldn't curtail his off-the-field problems. And sadly, poor Gaza now has his own issues that we wish him nothing but the best with. All right, let's take a quick look at Leicester, because Iheanacho will probably make his debut. Drinkwater's out, Huth is out, Iborra is out. So it's a Leicester team, Martin, that as Arsenal showed, open at the back. I think United will beat them at home.
I think United will beat them. I don't expect it to be quite as comfortable or as a scoreline would suggest the first two games were anyway.
We can't keep running 4-0 every week.
No. But it's a Leicester team that are kind of back to the Leicester that we know. They kind of went away from it a little bit. That what won them the league and the style that broke out. They've gone quite a little bit back to that now. They're going to sit in. They're going to give up possession. I mean, look, they were out-possessed by Brighton, but beat Brighton 2-0. It's textbook Leicester. They're going to tuck in. They're going to try and play with width on the counter-attack and beat you at their pace. So it's going to be somewhat a slightly different test for United. And I do wonder whether Herrera will be drafted in to give it a little bit more protection off for the counter-attack, or whether, like I said before, with it being the international break, he'll just roll out that same starting 11 again, get that continuity going. But look, you've got to be wary on set pieces. Leicester are decent at set pieces, but we have more than enough height and strength, so it should be able to deal with that threat. They're quick on the counter, but they're very vulnerable. I don't see anything other than a United win. I'm gonna go 2-0 United.
Yeah, I think United will be comfortable.
Got to watch Mahrez though. You have to watch Mahrez. Mahrez is he's back to his best. Mahrez is back to close to his best. He's dangerous.
Leicester definitely pose a threat and on the break, and that ball over the top, which Drinkwater normally gives him, he's not playing. Which Vardy and Mahrez are usually very, very good at. Look, as you said, Shakespeare changed Leicester back into the Leicester that won the league whenever Ranieri tried to change them. They've taken a 14-minute flight up from the Midlands. I'm sure Greenpeace boys will be going absolutely spare at this instead of the 125-mile trip. Disaster, Martin. Not even enough time to get the drinks menu going. Although I still imagine on a 14-minute flight you'd find a way to knack about 6 drinks.
I give it a good go.
And based on previous form, by the way, if you ever happen to book the lowest economy ticket on United Airlines, you when you sit on United Airlines, you can see why you occasionally get a kick in, because it's probably the only thing that they didn't dish out to us on Manchester United.
Technically, I don't even think we were on the plane. I think we were somewhere on the wing. That was brutal.
Anyway,
look, they've not beaten
United to win.
Yeah, I mean, well, United have beaten them 4 out of the last 6 times. The other 2 times being draws. United's form, United's confidence. You can't see anything at home other than a United win. But I don't expect it to be as wide open scoreline wise. But a couple of goals, another clean sheet would be certainly a satisfactory weekend again.
You still taking City to win the league, my friend?
I'm not going to change just yet. I mean, watching United, it's hard to see how we're beaten to the title this year. I still think Pep's got a couple of tricks up his sleeve. That side will bed in a little bit. They strengthened in the areas they absolutely had to strengthen in. Still got a funny feeling they'll end up with Alexis Sanchez as well. Anything can happen. But I have to stick with my prediction, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'll get absolutely slated by you and Danny. So, but no, look. I want United to win it. I certainly think it's between the 2 Manchester clubs for sure. But we said that last year. City got off to that absolutely incredible start last year, and then what happened? So anything can happen. A couple of games in, but City are not going away. United aren't going away this year. I think Chelsea will get a little stronger as the year goes on, and then it's any one from 4 of us for that 4th spot.
City have a hard Champions League group, Martin, and
I got a tough with Chelsea. Chelsea and Spurs both got a tough one too.
Yeah, both difficult Champions League groups. So we'll see what happens, folks. Thanks to all of you who downloaded.
Hey, what's you give me a prediction. Don't leave me on the island here on the
own. Come on. Prediction for what?
United this weekend.
United Leicester. I think United will win a game with a couple of goals. I think 2 or 3-0. I think
I'm 2 for 2 this year, so I'm going for 3 in a row now. Come on.
I think I'm going to say United win 3-0. I hope Martial starts. I think he's earned the start. He deserves it. I hope he does start. And if in a perfect world, Rashford scores this weekend.
Yeah, Rashford to get off the mark would be good.
Yeah, get Rashford off the mark this season, and
look at Lukaku continues to roll.
Yeah, and so I like the fact that against teams we United dominating possession, Mourinho was not picking a defensive midfield, we're stacking it full of Herrera, Matic, picking players that go forward, and even Matic was getting the license to go forward. So I think
we're attacking with 6 or 7 at times. It's fun. It's fun to watch. And I think that's coming across in the atmosphere at Old Trafford, and it's just putting smiles back on face, and it's not just because of the scoreline.
Once Swansea took that 5th defender out and giving out spaces, then they punished them, and I think the same will happen at the weekend. I think if you give United space, they can hit you out wide, they can hit you down the middle. It's good to see Mkhitaryan as well getting in advanced positions and creating. So I think if Leicester give United space, then they'll be punished for it, and I think United will win. I think Lukaku, United are better with Lukaku than they are Ibrahimovic, and Lukaku's movement is very different to Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic was a big static number 9, and I think Lukaku still has to work on his movement, but he's much more mobile than Ibrahimovic, and I think that creates space for the players in behind him. And so I think even whenever you see like the game at the weekend where you're nice seeing Swansea or other teams picking 2 and 3 centre halves to mark him, which if someone picks 5 defenders, they're essentially conceding possession to and hoping to hit you. I think that United team is set up to
Here's the beauty of that. Last year, you picked 2 or 3 centre halves to go and stand on Ibrahimovic. There was no goal threat coming from anywhere else, so it became a problem. Now you want to go mark Lukaku out of the game, then good luck, because goals are coming from everywhere else. So we're numbers up somewhere else, and that wherever on the pitch we are numbers up, we will exploit the opposition. So it's fun.
All right, well, thanks to all of you who download the show, like our Facebook page and all that crap. So thanks to all of you. Adios.
See you later, mate. Bye now.